I have shared the whiteboard as well. Those of you who cannot see the whiteboard, I will send the link in the main chat. Hurry. Yes, where did we stop? Hmm? 2018 wala second third wage ko hari neda? Let me get the 2018.
Me class එකේ
Somebody quickly check and let me know. Sanuli, you told something during the class, no? Which question we have to discuss? Third question. So 2018 third question is what we have to discuss. Others agreed, right? Ha. Okay. This is the third question, 2018. The following table represents in summarized form incomplete information relevant to the preparation of three gases and tests for their identification. Complete the table using words of correct symbols and formulae as appropriate. First, okay, adding something dropwise on manganese dioxide solid, okay. Water and something is formed. Test carried out, holding a glowing splint. Observation, glowing splint lighted. මෙතන අපිට කෙලින්ම gas එක fill කරන්න පුළුවන් නේද? What is the gas produced here? What is the gas produced here? We can straight away fill that. Alamai? What is the gas produced here? If you hold a glowing splint and it relights or the flame gets back no lighted කියන්නේ. We did this, Lou. මම ඔයගලන්ට මේ වැඩක් කරන්නම් කොහොමත් අද දවසේ පුළුවන් වෙයිද දන්නේ නැහැ මොකද අද දවසේ මම බයොස්ෆියර් part 2 එක රෙකෝඩ් කරන්න ඕනේ. අද හරි හෙට හරි අද වෙලාව තිබ්බොත් අද ඕ හෙට මං අපි මෙච්චර කල් කරපු past paper revisions ටික list එකක් විදිහට ඔයගලන්ට එවන්නම් recordings. මොකද මට හිතෙනවා සමහර අය present සමහර අය absent ඇති සමහර ඒවාට because I remember not all of you were present for all the classes. මට එහෙම consistent attendance තිබ්බ අය එහෙම මතකෙ නැහැ. කීප දෙනෙක් මතක I think Binuti had good attendance then Seneth අද නැහැ නේද? Seneth ගේ තියනවානේ. Seneth also had good attendance. But අනිත් අයගෙත් you had good attendance but එකක් දෙකක් මැදදී miss වෙනවනේ. That is normal. එතකොට ඒක හින්දා මම Sunday class එකේ කරපු ඔක්කොම past paper revisions along with the ones we did with the mixed class. Saturday Sunday දෙක mix කරලා කරපු ඔක්කොම odd එකට ඔයගලන්ට එවන්නම් PDF එකක recordings ටික. So ඒ PDF එක download කරලා recordings click කරලා බලන්න හැම එකක්ම ඔයගලන් හරියට follow කරලාද තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒ එකක් කරමු නේ ළමයි. I think that would be better. Because otherwise it's a huge not exactly a mess but yeah, if you miss at least one day, එතකොට අර එතන discuss කරපු questions ටික miss වෙනවානේ unless you get the recording. මම එහෙම දෙයක් කරන්නම් ඔයගලන්ට so that it will be easier for you to catch up. Okay? හරි. එතකොට මම හිතන්නේ සනුලි මේක කරන දවසේ ඔයා absent වෙලා. That must be why. අනිත් අය මට බලලා කියන්න එහෙනම් present වෙච්ච කෙනෙක්. Fatima, according to you, what is the last question we did? No worries. Your attendance was also good, but man මතකයි දවස් දෙක තුනක් වා absent වුණා. සමහරට ඒ දවස්වල discuss කරපු එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Yes, Fatima? Say only A and B parts. Human reproductive process is coordinated by chemical substances known as hormones associated with the reproductive system. State separately in relation to each system a hormone secreted by the male and female reproductive systems which coordinates their functioning. What is the answer for this? Yes? Male reproductive system එකේ female reproductive system එකේ කෙනුයි secrete වෙන hormones respectively. FSH LH ලියන්න බෑ ළමයි. Why? Because FSH and LH are not secreted by the male, by the female reproductive system. FSH and LH are secreted by the pituitary gland. They work on the ovaries, that is a different story, but they're not secreted by the female reproductive system. Males are ලියන්න තියෙන testosterone විතරයි. Female නම් ඔයගොල්ලන් estrogen hari progesterone hari ලියලා තියෙනවා නම් you will get the marks. මෙහෙම male female කියලා ලියන්න නැතුව order එකට ලියුවා නම් ඒත් කමක් නැහැ. Respectively කියලා තිබ්බ නේද? නෑ එහෙම නෑ, but still testosterone, estrogen hari progesterone hari ලිව්වත් ඇති. Then Roman number 2. Figure 1 shows the phases of the female reproductive cycle. මම reproduction කරද්දි කිව්වා මේ වගේ comparison එකක් අනිවාර්යෙන් එයි ඔයගලන්ට කියලා. It separately illustrates how the changes of the hormone concentration in blood, changes in the ovary, and changes in the uterine wall occur during the 28 days of the cycle. හරි. මේක discuss කරන්න කලින් when you take the ovary or when you take changes in the ovary, there are how many phases when it comes to changes in the ovary? How many phases are there? There are several phases, no? What are the two phases? What are the two phases? When it comes to changes in ovary, what are the two phases? Okay. What else? Yes. We have follicular phase and we have luteal phase. We have follicular phase and luteal phase. What is the duration of follicular phase? What is the duration of follicular phase? Follicular phase takes place for 14 days. What is the duration of luteal phase? What is the duration of luteal phase? Yeah. Again 14 days. Ekane day 1 to day 14 follicular phase එක, day 14 ඉඳන් day 28 වෙනකන් luteal phase එක. Under the influence of which hormone does the follicular phase carry out? Under the influence of which hormone does the follicular phase carry out? Yes. FSH secreted by the pituitary gland. And under the influence of which hormone does the luteal phase carry out? LH. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. LH is luteinizing hormone. Both are secreted by the pituitary gland. They come and act on the ovary, the two ovaries in the female reproductive system. Follicular phase එකේ මොනවද වෙන්නේ? What happens in the follicular phase? In simple terms, what happens in the follicular phase? Okay. Okay, others? I got a few answers. What about others? Primary follicle in the Graafian follicle vela Graafian follicle like a mature vena. Inside the Graafian follicle is where the ovum is being produced. මෙන්න මේ කොටස. My question එක මම image එක ගත්තේ, then it's easier for us to process. These are primary follicles. The reproduction මතකයි දන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ඒකෙන් හොඳට අහගන්න. එතකොට primary follicle will develop to form Graafian follicles. Graafian follicle. Graafian follicle එක ඇතුලේ තමයි ovum එක හැදෙන්නේ. So මේ හරියද? Now the Graafian follicle is mature because inside the ovum is there and it has grown. So මෙන්න මේ ටිකට තමයි පළවෙනි 14 days යන්නේ. This is the follicular phase. First 14 days. It happens under the influence of FSH. What happens in the luteal phase? What happens in the luteal phase? What happens in the luteal phase? Quickly tell. Yes. Okay, what else? Mainly වෙන්නේ ovum එක release වෙනවා. එකපාරට LH වල peak එකක් එනවා. කියන්නේ follicular phase goes from day 1 to day 14. At the end of the 14th day, when the luteal phase is starting, at the beginning of it, LH එකපාරට වැඩි වෙනවා. මේ LH එකපාරට peak එකක් එනවා. ඒ peak එක තමයි, because LH suddenly increases, that will trigger the Graafian follicle to release the ovum. So may ovum එක release වෙනවා. That we call ovulation, right? Ovum එක release වෙන එකට අපි කියන්නේ ovulation. ඒක වෙන්නේ LH එකපාරට වැඩි වෙන හින්දා. That happens in the luteal phase. And then after that, the remaining Graafian follicle will become corpus luteum and corpus albicans. This is what happens in the ovary. Ovaries දෙකේ වෙන දේ තමයි මේ කියන්නේ. Then, let's talk about the changes in the uterus. How many phases are there? What are the phases? When it comes to changes in the uterus, what are the phases? When you take the changes in the uterus, what are the phases? Menstrual phase. What else? Menstrual phase. Proliferation phase. Then secretory phase. What can you say about the durations? Menstrual phase, how long does it take? Menstrual phase takes 4 days. Proliferation phase? Menstrual phase 4 days, ඒ කියන්නේ day 1 ඉඳන් day 4 වෙනකම්. Then day 4 ඉඳන් day 14 වෙනකම්, that means for a duration of 10 days, we have proliferation phase. Then secretory phase? Yes. Secretory phase takes a duration of 14 days. So 14 plus 10 is 24. 24 plus 4 is 28. That is how the 28 days of the menstrual cycle is arranged, right? එතකොට ovary එකේ follicular phase එක වෙද්දී during that 14 days uterus එකේ වෙන්නේ menstrual phase එකයි proliferation phase එකයි දෙකම. Okay, let's start with the proliferation phase. What happens in the proliferation phase? What happens in the proliferation phase? What exactly happens in the proliferation phase? menstrual phase එකේ mainly වෙන්නේ ඔක්කොම uterus walls ටික break වෙනවානේ. Right? So break වෙලා periodic secretion monthly female කියන්නේ girls that හැදෙනවා periods කියලා. Right? That is the uterus walls are broken down and released. Right? Excuse me. එතකොට uterus wall එක break වුණාට පස්සේ the walls have to rebuild again. That happens in the proliferation phase. So මොකද proliferation phase එකේ වෙන්නේ uterus wall starts to rebuild. Starts to rebuild. What else happens? Blood vessels අලුතෙන් හැදෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා වෙන මොනවාද වෙන්නේ? Yes. What else, Namai? Uterus wall starts to rebuild, blood vessels start to form, right? එතකොට proliferation phase එක වෙන්නේ mainly under the influence of which hormone? Under the influence of which hormone? Proliferation phase occurs under the influence of which hormone? Yes. Estrogen. Estrogen level එක වැඩි වෙනවා in the proliferation phase. If you look at this picture, මෙන්න මේ day 4 ඉඳන් 14 වෙනකම් මේ ටික තමයි proliferation phase එක. You can see estrogen level is high during that period. So estrogen level is high during that period, and due to the influence of estrogen only, proliferation phase happens. And estrogen works on the uterus, but it was formed in the ovary. Ovary can release kala uterus එකට තමයි වැඩ කරන්නේ. What happens in the secretory phase? What happens in the secretory phase? Yes, glands become active. What else? Blood flow increases. Blood flow increases. ඊට පස්සේ the uterus wall එක fully rebuild වෙලානේ තියෙන්නේ. Then rebuild වෙච්ච එක active වෙනවා. Glands active වෙලා secrete කරන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. Blood flow එක වැඩි වෙනවා, so it's full happening in the uterus. During this period, actually, the body is preparing for a pregnancy. Okay. Under the influence of which hormone does the secretory phase happen? Under the influence of which hormone? Progesterone, yes. Secretory phase happens under the influence of progesterone because the level of progesterone increases. May then day 14 and day 28 when a secretory phase this period. You can see the level of progesterone is high during that period. So that is a secretory phase. Then if pregnancy does not occur, menstrual phase occurs. That means the built uterus walls start to degrade, right? Uterus wall like a break or degrade. Uterus wall degrades and broken down. So periodic secretion එකක් විදියට එක vagina එකෙන් යනවා. Female reproductive system. Under the influence of which hormone does menstrual phase happen? Under the influence of which hormone? Influence doesn't always have to be positive, right? Hormone එකක concentration වැඩි වෙද්දි වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්, අඩු වෙද්දි වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. The influence can be positive or negative. So menstrual phase වෙන්නේ under the influence of which hormone? කොළමයි? Progesterone. However, progesterone වැඩි වෙනකොට නෙවෙයි වෙන්නේ, progesterone එකපාරට අඩු වෙනවා. Secretory phase එක ඉවර වීගෙන එනකොට progesterone level එක අඩු වෙනවා. අත්‍තරම ළමයි අර build කරපු uterus wall එක active කරලා තියන් ඉන්නේ progesterone. The moment the level of progesterone goes down, the uterus wall starts to degrade. So that happens in menstrual phase. As I said earlier, while follicular phase is occurring in the ovary during that 14 days, in the uterus, menstrual phase and proliferation phase occur. At the end of the 14 days in the ovary, ovulation happens. That is the start of the luteal phase. Ovulation vela ovum එක fallopian tube එක එනකොට uterus එක මොකද කරන්නේ? Pregnancy වලට prepare වෙනවා. May 14 days secretory phase වල 14 days වලදී ovary එකේ වෙන luteal phase. Once that is over, menstrual phase will occur again. Is this clear to you? Thumbs up, Lama, if it's clear. If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay. With that in mind, we will come here. What can you say about the body temperature? Body temperature now from day 1 to day 28, during which period is our body temperature the highest? During which period is our body temperature the highest? Yeah. Secretory phase. Day 14 to day 28, the secretory phase, the glands are very active now. So uterus marma activity vadi. Body temperature vadi when secretory phase. So girls know when their periodic secretion date is, right? Period date from 1 month to another, generally 28 days unata 28 30 hormonal imbalances තියෙනවා දවස ඒ කියන්නේ 28 days වලට වඩා අඩු වෙන්නත් පුළුවන් වැඩි වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඒක දිගටම continue වෙනවා නම් ඒකට medication හරි මොන හරි step එකක් ගන්න ඕනේ. You have to see what it is. But generally එහෙම පොඩක් irregular වෙන එක ටිකක් normal. ඒ කියන්නේ ඉඳලා හිටලා එහෙම irregular වෙන එක normal. Irregular වෙන එක දිගටම යනවා නම් ඒක ડોක්ටර් කෙනෙකුට පෙන්නන්න ඕනේ. සමහර ડોක්ටර් කියනවා no it's okay this is normal කියලා. එහෙම වුණත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. But sometimes it could be like a symptom of any disease. මොකක් හරි ලෙඩක් හරි hormonal imbalance හරි මොකක් හරි ඒ වගේ දෙයක් හින්දා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර ඒකට මොන හරි further steps ගන්න පුළුවන්. So what I was trying to say is that now girls know when the period date is from 1 month to another. එතකොට ඒ කාලය ඇතුළත දැන් ඕගලන් ඉන්න දවසත් එක්ක you can say whether you are in the menstrual phase or the proliferation phase or the secretory phase. Okay, that is why this knowledge is important. According to the figure, from which day does the menstrual phase of the female reproductive cycle start? From which day does the menstrual phase of the female reproductive cycle start? Yana Bala. Yeah. Our first 28 days ඉවරුණාට පස්සේ නැත්නම් you can say day 1. මෙතන මේකේ විදිහට menstrual phase එක කියන්නේ මේ wall එක break වෙන period එකනේ, that is this time period, right? එක පටන් ගන්නේ day 0 or day 1 ඉඳන්. You can write day 1 or you can write day 0. See, ඒ කියන්නේ 28 days ඉවර වෙද්දිමනේ පටන් ගන්නෙ. So you can write that. Name the hormone secreted by the pituitary gland that affects the functioning of this cycle. Pituitary gland එකෙන් මොනවාද secrete වෙන්නේ that affects this cycle? අපි කතා කරන්නේ එක්ක FSH නැත්නම් LH. Cycle means this entire 28 days, no? So it could either be FSH or LH. අපි මේ දෙක ලියලිමු questions දෙක. So මේක මම කිව්වා day 1 කියලා දැම්මත් කමක් නැහැ or end of the 28th day. Then number 3 එකේ අහන්නේ pituitary එකෙන් secrete වෙන gland එක, that is you can write either FSH or you can write LH. Normally what? I mean normally you know වඩා හොඳයි whatever. You can just write FSH LH, that's enough. What is the main phenomenon that occurs in the ovary by the 14th day of the cycle? 14th කියන්නේ වෙන මේ දවස. මේ දවසේ ovary එකේ මොනවාද වෙන important day? Yeah. Release in the ovum. In other words, we call it ovulation. Ovulation කියලා ලිව්වත් කමක් නැහැ. Releasing the ovum කියලා ලිව්වත් කමක් නැහැ. Ovulation. Fine. During which time interval of the cycle is there a greater chance for the fertilization of the ovum? Yes. During which time interval of the cycle is there a greater chance for the fertilization of the ovum? What do you think? Hmm? What do you think? Yes. So මෙහෙමයි. දැන් මෙතන there's a little problem. In reality, day 14 and day 28 ඒ මුළු duration එකේම fertilization වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Day 14 to day 28 is the secretory phase, no? Secretory phase එකේ is when the uterus is fully active and preparing for pregnancy. Right? එතකොට මෙතන අපි දැන් මේ day 14 to day 28 මුළු duration එකම වෙන්න පුළුවන් කියලා කියනවා. හැබැයි ළමයි මෙහෙම එකක් තියෙනවානේ. Fertilization වෙන්නේ upper part of the fallopian tube. Ovary එකෙන් ovum එක secrete කරලා release කරලා that will wait at the upper part of the fallopian tube, then the sperm will go to the upper part of the fallopian tube. එතන fertilization වෙනවා. එතන fertilization වෙලා zygote or the embryo යා divide වෙවි blastula morula එහෙම වෙලා uterus එකේ ඇවිල්ලා implant වෙනවා. හිතන්න now day 1 to day 28 නේ cycle එක. Day 25 වගේ තමයි fertilization උනේ. 25th day. 25th day එකේ fertilization වෙලා zygote එක හැදිලා cells divide වෙලා morula blastula morula එහෙම ඇවිල්ලා uterus එකට roll වෙලා ඇවිල්ලා implantation වෙනකොට it's the let's say day 28 or day 1 or day 2. දැන් මොකද වෙන්නේ? වැඩක් තියනවද? Because day 1 or day 2 means menstrual phase. Will the implantation happen? Will the implantation happen? No. ඒක හින්දා දැන් මේකේ textbook එකේ තිබුණ නැහැ. So ඒක හින්දා අපි ඒක we will learn it here in case they will ask this question in your exam. මොකද exam එකේ ගොඩක් O level paper එකේ බලනවා මේගොල්ලන් past papers කරලාද කියලා. Right? Certain past paper questions, even though it won't look the same, but they appear. කෙනෙක් එක questions පොඩි questions ආයෙමත් repeat වෙනවා. ඒ question එකේ විදියටම repeat වෙනවා, but repetition is there. So as I said, let's say day 24 or day 25 වගේ fertilization වුණොත් එහෙම upper part of the fallopian tube, then it will slowly roll down while cells are dividing blastula morula එහෙම ඇවිල්ලා uterus එකට එනකොට let's say day 1 කියලා. Day 1 කියන්නේ secretory phase එක නෙවෙයි. That is menstrual phase. Menstrual phase එකේ uterus wall එක කැඩි කැඩි යනවා. Okay. එතකොට වැඩක් නැහැ. Implantation will not happen. ඒක හින්දා ඕනම කාලයක fertilization වෙලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. Fertilization වෙන්න ideal time එක තමයි day 14 to day 21. If fertilization happens at the upper part of the fallopian tube during day 14 to day 21, when it rolls down while cells are dividing and comes to uterus for implantation, it will still be the secretory phase. Day 21 ඉඳන් day 28 වෙනකන් තව දවස් 7ක් තියෙනවානේ. So implantation වෙන කල් ඇති එතකොට. එතකොට this is the most ideal time for fertilization to happen. Did you all understand, lamai? Others? So fifth decade, during which time interval you can write day 14 to day 21. Or you can say 14th day to 21st day. Okay, sixth. Write in 2 steps what happens in the course of a fertilized human ovum becoming an embryo. Fertilized veච්ච human ovum එකක් embryo එක වෙන ඒ steps ටිකේ what are the 2 main steps? හරිම ලේසි මේ steps දෙක. Yes. එකක් අනිවාර්යෙන් cells have to divide. නැත්තම් zygote කියන්නේ it's just one cell. It's unicellular. Sperm and ovum fertilize වුණාට පස්සේ අදින zygote is one cell. එයා cells divide වෙන්න ඕනේ. So මෙතන you have to write cell division. Cell division නැතුව ඔයගලන් නිවොත් increasing the number of cells. That is okay. Or you can write becoming blastula නැත්නම් becoming morula වගේ කමක් නැහැ. Becoming blastula morula means anyway cells are dividing නේ. So මේ ටික තමයි එක step එක. What is the next step? මේ first step එක ඔයගලන් මේ ඕන විදිහකට ලිව්වට shape. Cell division is the perfect answer. What is the next step after this? Very good. Implantation. Implant උනාට පස්සේ තමයි embryo එක හැදෙන්නේ ළමයි. Okay? Implant උනාට පස්සේ embryo එක හැදෙන්නේ. So next step is implantation. Implantation එකට සමහර අය interplantation කියලා කියනවා. Implantation is how we learnt it. Anyhow, that is the next step. මේ දෙක මේ විදිහට ලියලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. First එකට cell division, increase the number of cells, becoming blastula morula ඒ වගේ හරි ලියුවා නම් first step එක okay. Second step is nothing other than implantation. Then seventh one. State a common disease caused by a species of bacteria that is sexually transmitted and has become a social menace. What else? අපි sexually transmitted diseases or STDs ගත්තහම අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත ಜಾති දෙකක්. සමහර කට්ටිය they are caused by bacteria. Some others they are caused by virus. Bacteria වලින් cause වෙන දෙන්නෙක් අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත one is ඔයගලන් chat box එකේ දාලා තියෙනවා gonorrhea. The other one is syphilis. So අපේ question එකට answer එක මේක you can write one of these. What about virus? What are the sexually transmitted diseases caused by virus? Yes, I'm already getting the answers in the chat box. Herpes and AIDS. Herpes එක cause කරන්නේ the virus herpes simplex. AIDS cause කරන්නේ HIV, human immunodeficiency virus. So ඊයේ class එකෙත් මේ question එක discuss කරද්දී මම කිව්වේ about 10-15 years ago AIDS was very much talked about. Then AIDS නැතුව නෙවෙයි. ඉස්සර වගේ නෙවෙයි සමහරට ඉස්සරට වඩා දැන් AIDS තියෙන පුළුවන් but ඉස්සරට වඩා දැන් there are cures. And ඒ මිනිස්සුන්ට survive වෙන්න එක එක විදි තියෙනවා දැන් ඉස්සරට වඩා. And also අර ඕනම දෙයක් ටිකක් කතා කර හිටියට පස්සේ ඒක කතා කරන එක අඩු වෙනවානේ. About 10-15 years ago, I think 10 ඒ වගේ කාලෙදී AIDS ගැන ගොඩාක් කතා වුණා. Like there were cases where AIDS patients, because now AIDS කියන්නේ හොඳ කරන්න බැරි ලෙඩක් නේ. ඒකට එහෙම වුණාම they feel jealous for the other people. ඒතර ඒගොල්ලන් ගිහිල්ලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ blood ගිහිල්ලා ඔය randomly මිනිස්සුන්ට inject කරනවා. ඔය එක සිනමාස් ඔය කියන්නේ මේ ෆිල්ම් හෝල් ඇතුලේ එහෙම වෙච්ච cases එහෙම තිබ්බා ඒ දවස්වල. So yes, but I mean AIDS survivors like no. Mangi class at KGT, so you may have heard of the famous singer Freddie Mercury, who had AIDS. He died from AIDS, but he survived for quite some time. So AIDS are a ගොඩක් කාලයක ගොඩක් තිබ්බ හින්දා මිනිස්සු ගොඩක් කතා කරනවා. But අනිත් ලෙඩ ගැන කතා කරන්නේ නැහැ. But gonorrhea, syphilis, herpes, they are also there. There are patients with these diseases out there as well, not just AIDS. Okay. So මෙතන bacteria එකක් හින්දා you can either write gonorrhea or syphilis. We can move on to the B part, but first of all, tell me, is everything clear in the A part? Everything clear in the A part? Anita, Batula, Fatima, Oneli, Senet. Okay. B එකේ okay. Number 1. A person scared by a snappy dog starts running. Which two systems do the electrical and chemical coordination relevant to this? What do you think? Manuse dakina dog eneku dakala duwanam. Which system does the electrical coordination? Nervous system. Nervous system එක electrical coordination එක කරන්නේ මොනවෙන්ද? Using what? Using yes. Yes. Correct. Central nervous system කියලා කියන්න බෑ because it's not just central nervous system. Central nervous system තියෙනවා, peripheral nervous system තියෙනවා, right? Nervous system එකේ electrical coordination is done by nerve impulses. Nerve impulses are little charges. It charges electrical signals විදියට යනවා. So nerve impulses කරන medium එක මොකද්ද? Nerves. There are nerve fibers. Remember neurons කියලා අපි කියන්නේ. Neurons තමයි medium එක. Then chemical coordination is done by what system? Yes. Endocrine system. Using what? Endocrine system තමයි, but using what? Alamai? Using hormones. What is the medium? What is the medium through which hormones are transported? What is the medium through which hormones are transported? Not glands. Glands වලින් secrete වෙනවා. Blood. Blood වලත් හරියට ගත්තොත් blood plasma එකේ තමයි hormones transport වෙන්නේ. We generally say blood. Okay. Using the relevant parts in figure 2. Figure 2. Write schematically using arrows connection from receptor to the effector in the system related to electrical coordination. බල්ල දුවගෙනකොට ears උත් සද්ද තැහෙනවා අපිට. So ear is also there, but මේ diagram එකේ ear නැහැ. මේ diagram එකේ තියෙන eye. So eye එකෙන් පටන් ගන්න. පටන් අරගෙන කොහෙටද යන්නේ මේක? Starting from eye, to which part does it go next? What is the next step? Central nervous system එකට යන්නේ මෙතන කෙලින්ම cerebrum කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා. So it goes to cerebrum. From cerebrum to where does it go? Spinal cord. දීලා තියෙන ඒවා ළමයි කියන central nervous system කියලා යන්න බෑ. මොකද දීලා තියෙන central nervous system. They have given eye, cerebrum, spinal cord, then දුවනවා කොහෙටද? Muscles. මෙතන leg muscles කියලා ලියලා තිබ්බත් ලකුණු දීලා තිබ්බා, but diagram එකේ තියෙන muscles විතරයි. මට මතක විදිහට මේ paper එකේ cerebrum, spinal cord වෙනුවට central nervous system ලියලා තිබ්බත් මම හිතා ලකුණු දීලා තිබ්බද මන්ද මට එහෙම පොඩි මතකයක් තියෙනවා, but I'm not very sure. Anyhow, එහෙම ලකුණු දෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ because they have clearly said using the relevant parts in figure 2. Okay? ඒක marking scheme එකේ නැහැ. ඒක අපි හරියම විදිහට ඉගෙන ගමු. මේ විදිහ තමයි තියෙන්නේ. This is the flow. Number 3. State one function carried out by the adrenal gland in relation to the coordination process. A function carried out by the adrenal gland. What did you write? Prepare the body for an emergency. Is it done by adrenal gland? Here this is word play, word play. Adrenal gland එකට බෑ වගේ body එක emergency එකට prepare කරන්න. Adrenal gland cannot do that. That is done by adrenaline. If they ask you a function of adrenaline, you can say prepare the body for an emergency. But adrenal gland cannot do that. Adrenal gland එකේ කරන්න පුළුවන් එකම දේ, it can secrete adrenaline. Adrenal gland එකේ කරන්නේ. මේකට relevant adrenal gland එකේ කරන්නේ secreting the adrenaline hormone. Okay? Then adrenaline hormone is only preparing your body for an emergency. That is about the B part. Is that clear, Lama? Give me a thumbs up. Batula, Oneli, Randira, Fatima, Sanuli, Senet. Okay, let's move on to the C part. Let me get that question to the whiteboard. At the end, I will tell you how marks are given. I might schedule an extra class on Tuesday morning. Wednesday, Thursday, back here, you want exams and Friday, somehow at exams. So Tuesday morning, we'll have a class. Okay, C. Given as A, B, C, and D in figure 3 are optical microscope diagrams of some plant and animal tissues. Plant and animal tissues you have studied. Write the names of the tissues A, B, C, D correctly, identifying their structural features. අපි A මොනවාද, B මොනවාද, C මොනවාද, D මොනවාද කියලා තමයි බලන්න ඕනේ. What is A? A දැක්කම මේ වගේ spindle shaped කොහොමද structural features identify කරලානේ අපි ලියන්න ඕනේ. You can see they are spindle shaped. There is every cell seems to have one nucleus. මෙන්න මේ විදිහට තියෙනවා කියන්නේ it is smooth muscle tissue. B. Yes. B ගත්තොත් එම අපි මොනවද animal tissues වල ඉගෙන ගත්ත epithelial tissue වෙන්න බෑ. Epithelial tissue නම් there has to be a basement membrane. Basement membrane එකක් දැක්ක ගම you can write epithelial tissue. Connective tissue වල අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ blood විතරයි. We have not learned blood in this way, so it can't be that. Nervous tissue වෙන්න බෑ. Muscle tissue වෙන්න බෑ. Muscle tissue වල අපි smooth skeletal cardiac, the images are very clear in our head. This is none of them. Then plant tissues වලට ගියාම meristematic වෙන්න බෑ. Because there are intercellular spaces here. Then complex xylem phloem වෙන්න බෑ because xylem phloem are a mix of different types of tissues. Then if you take the simple permanent tissues, collenchyma වල polygonal shape එකක් තියෙනවා එයා වෙන්න බෑ. Sclerenchyma වල nucleus එකක් නැහැ. Then this is parenchyma. නැද කෙලින්ම දැක්ක ගම උගලන්ට කියන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ that this is parenchyma. But if you wanted a breakdown, that is why I gave the breakdown. What about C? Striations තියෙනවා. Striations තියෙන දෙකයි අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ skeletal and cardiac. This is branched. Intercalated discs are present. So this is definitely cardiac. What about D then? Again, striations are there. They are long cylindrical cells, unbranched. So seems like it's skeletal. So this is cardiac muscle tissue and this is skeletal muscle tissue. Then Roman number 2. What common feature could be seen in a tissue when various plant and animal tissues are observed? Tissues wala common feature එක ළමයි ඒගොල්ලන් හැදලා තින්නේ using a collection of cells with a common origin, right? Group of cells with a common origin. නැත්නම් a group of identical cells. ඒ වගේ මොකක් හරි ලියුවා නම් හරි. Parenchyma cells are round shaped. හැබැයි මේ තියෙන්නේ පැත්තෙන් බලන එකක් නේද? Side එකේ නේද ටිකක් බලලා තියෙන්නේ මේක. So it looks kind of longitudinal. Now longitudinal structure එකක් නේ තියෙන්නේ. Yes, and also ළමයි අපි parenchyma cells isodiametric නැත්නම් spherical කියලා ඉගෙන ගත්තට in real life හැම parenchyma එකක්ම එහෙම නැහැ. So certain කියන්නේ ගොඩක් parenchyma cells එක පැත්තකින් බැලුවම විතරයි spherical shape එක පේන්නේ. ඔයාලට මතකයි නා parenchyma වල we said photosynthesis is done by palisade and spongy mesophiles. Palisade එකේ එහෙම rectangle එකක් වගේ තියෙන්නේ පැත්තෙන් බලද්දි. උඩින් බැලුවම නම් spherical shape එකක් තියෙනවා but පැත්තෙන් බලද්දි it looks like a rectangle. Spongy is also like that. Spongy වල හරියට spherical shape එකක් එක පැත්තකින් බලද්දි ටිකක් විතර තියෙනවා but there's not like a very specific and a very definite spherical shape. මේක side එකෙන් බලලා තියෙන ඉඳ තමයි it looks longitudinal. ඒකින්ද shape එක බලන්න නැතුව අපිට අනිත් එකෙන් තමයි මේක distinguish කරන්න වෙන්නේ. Okay, any questions in C part before we move on? Everything clear? Others? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Sixth question එක අපි discuss කරමු. ඔයගලන්ට hydrocarbons බලන්න time එක හම්බුනේ නැති හින්දා A and B අපි discuss කරමු once you watch hydrocarbons. I have sent the recordings in the group. But ඒක C part එක නම් අපිට discuss කරන්න පුළුවන්. C එක we will discuss now. Sixth question C part. කාරණා මට මතක් කරන්න 6th එකේ A and B අපි discuss කරේ නැහැ කියලා. This is sixth question C. Given in the box below are several techniques used to separate components in a mixture. අපි ඉගෙන ගත්ත ටිකම තමයි තියෙන්නේ. Write separately which technique given in the above box is most suitable to fulfill the requirements given in the first column. Obtaining pure potassium chlorate crystals from a sample of potassium chlorate salt contaminated with a small amount of common salt. Can already potassium chlorate salt එක තියෙනවා. Already crystals තියෙනවා. ඒකේ අපි pure potassium chlorate crystals හදා ගන්න ඕන. Which method is the most suitable? Impure crystal එකකින් pure crystals ගන්න අපි use කරපු method එක මොකද්ද? Steam no. ඕනවට වඩා හිතන්න එපා සමහරවිට මේ සමහර separating ඒවට there could be more than one technique used. But main මෙක්කේන බලපුවම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට හිතෙන කවුද? Impure crystals වලින් pure crystals ගන්නවා. Mixtures මම PDF එකක් එවලා තියෙන එවුවනේ ඔයගොල්ලන්ටනේ. When we were doing mixtures I sent a PDF. There we talked about yes it's recrystallization. මම හැම ගොඩක් ඒවල flow charts දීලා පෙන්නුවා. දැන් crystallization වල තියෙන solution එකකින් crystals ගන්න එක. Recrystallization වල තියෙන impure crystals වලින් pure crystals ගන්න එක. Here there is a sample of potassium chlorate salt already but it is contaminated with salt. Common salt. ඒකින්ද අපි ඒකෙන් pure ගන්න නම් we have to use recrystallization. මාර්ක් කලින්ගේ marks දුන්නේ නැහනේ. I will give marks. Huh? Give me a second. Obtaining most of the iodine dissolved in a volume of water as pure crystals of iodine, we are using chemical diethyl ether. Diethyl ether is a volatile solvent immiscible with water. Iodine is more soluble in diethyl ether than in water. What do we use? What is the technique that we use? Method diethyl ether කියලා solvent එකක් use කරලා තියෙනවා that is not mixing in water but iodine water වලට වඩා diethyl ether වල mix වෙනවා. එහෙනම් මෙතන solvent extraction තමයි use කරන්නේ. සමහර අය මෙතන crystals තියෙන හින්දා crystals could be crystallization කියලා crystallization දීලා තිබ්බා. but මෙතන කියන්නේ more suitable එක. crystallize කරන්නත් ඔක්කොටම කලින් iodine එක separate කරගන්න ඕනේ. So here the answer is solvent extraction. Anything else other than solvent extraction did not get marks. Identifying 3 colorings supposed to have been added to a food material. Chemical, ethanol, the relevant food colorings are soluble in ethanol. That is obviously chromatography. Separating hexane and octane from a mixture formed by mixing the liquids hexane and octane. One hexane and octane then a mix වෙනවා. හැබැයි දෙන්නට different boiling points තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් we have to use yes fractional distillation. Is this clear, Lamai? Can you all give me a thumbs up? Okay. Let me get the 2018 answer sheet to give you marks. Okay. Fifth K. Testosterone live at 1 mark, estrogen or progesterone live at 1 mark. So 1 is 2 marks there. Male female කියලා ලියන්න තු නිකන් testosterone estrogen ඒ odd එකට ලිව්වා නම් ඒත් marks හම්බ වෙනවා. මුලින් estrogen ලියලා ඊට පස්සේ testosterone ලිව්වොත් හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Then day 1 or end of 28th day කියලා ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. FSH hari LH hari දෙකේ එකක් ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. Ovulation වල 1 mark. Day 14 to day 21 එකට 1 mark. You may not have written that because day 21 එක හයට ඔයගොල්ලෝ දරන් හිටියේ නැහැ, but now you know. Cell division, increase in the number of cells, becoming modular. නැත්නම් මේකට cell differentiation එහෙම ලියලා තිබ්බත් ඒකට 1 mark තියෙනවා for the first step. Second step is implantation only. ඒකට 1 mark. So 2 marks there. Syphilis hari gonorrhea hari ලියලා තියෙනවා 1 mark. Then here for writing nervous system 1 mark, for writing endocrine system 1 mark. Metana eye, cerebrum, spinal cord, muscles. Medica had a liathionang 3 marks. Cerebrum hari spinal cord hari liela natang edena venuවට central nervous system කියලා ලියලා තිබ්බොත් එතන හම්බෙන්නේ 2 marks only. වෙන එකක් හරි වැරදිනවා 0. Here secreting the adrenaline hormone කියන එකට 1 mark. Then here smooth parenchyma, cardiac, skeletal, 1 for each 4 marks. 1 for each 4 marks. Make a group of cells with a common origin නැත්නම් identical cells වගේ තිබ්බනම් 1 mark. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. How many marks did you get out of 20? Okay, Fatima. Okay, Binuti. Okay, Oneli. Disal. Yashini. Oneli. Akib. Ramdira. Senet. Sanuli. තව දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා. බාතුල. Who else? Tenumi? හරි කොහමද ළමයි essay questions වලට your marks, I mean you have different marks, but then මේ අන්තිම දවස් ටික ඊයේ ඉඳන් හරියටම okay Tenumi. There's exactly 1 month නෙමෙයි from yesterday 1 month. එතකොට ඒක හින්දා we have to practice more. Essay questions වලට you have to have at least above 15 for essay questions. Right? එහෙම නැත්නම් වැරදිච්ච තැන් බලලා ටක් ගාලා revise කරගන්න එක. මෙතන නම් 1 for each 4 marks. අපි 6th එකේ 100ක විතරයිනේ discuss කරේ. ඒක නම් මම ඒකට විතරක් කියන්නම් 1 for each 4 marks. Okay. We'll jump to the next question. 7th one. Let me get the A part to the whiteboard. Lama, give me 2 minutes, huh? Okay, so let's discuss the 7th one. A tall cuboidal block of wood of mass 800 grams was placed on a horizontal table. You all can hear me, right? Thumbs up, please, if you can hear me. Okay. Roman number 1. Calculate the weight of this block of wood. What is the weight? What is the weight of this block of wood? Okay, yes. So, කොහොමද අපි weight ගන්න ළමයි? W equals mg. Now here, mass is not in kilograms. Mass is in grams. So, you have to convert it to kilograms, right? So, here, W equals mg. Mass is 800 grams. When you convert it to kilograms, you divide by 1000. Gravitational acceleration is 10. So, you get 8 newtons as the weight. Correct. Then Roman number 2. No. Okay, Binuti. We'll once we finish this part, we'll discuss that. Matam read kare na, make it discuss. This is A, no? Simple A. Then simple B. When the block of wood, no, the force exerted by the block of wood on the table is equal to the weight of the block of wood. How much is the reaction exerted on the block of wood by the table? What is the answer for this? It's not, this is quite easy. What is the answer for this? 8 newtons. And what is Newton's law relevant to this? Which Newton's law? Third law. Newton's third law. There is no answer other than Newton's third law. Newton's third law කියලා ලියලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් Newton's third law වචන ලියුවත් කමක් නැහැ. Every action has an equal and an opposite reaction කියලා. නිකම් third law කියලා ලියලා තිබුත් ඒත් ලකුණු හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. You have to write Newton's third law. මෙතන Newton's law name the Newton's law කියලා තියෙනවා. So third law will be okay. Third law කියලා ලියවට අවුලක් නැහැ. But සාමාන්‍ය ළමයි Newton's ගේ laws ලියනකොට Newton's first law, Newton's second law, Newton's third law කියන එක නිකන් ඒකනේ law එකේ නම වගේ. So always නිකන් first law, second law, third law කියලා ලියන්න එපා. Practice එකක් විදියට Newton's first law, Newton's second law, Newton's third law. Okay, in the second one, of points A and B, that means this one, which is suitable to apply a force in order to move the block of wood horizontally on the table. Make a horizontally table එකේ move කරන්න නම්, to which point should I apply a force? Others? To which point should I apply a force? Why not B? What will happen if I apply a force on B? Yeah. This will fall over. නැත්නම් this will topple over, right? එහෙනම් A වල කියන්නේ මොකද්ද point එක කියලානේ. So point එක A. Can you see ළමයි B වලට force එක දැම්මම මෙයාව මෙහෙම වැටෙන්නේ rotation එකක් විදියටනේ. So that kind of creates a moment. ඒ කියන්නේ B වලට අපි apply කළා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. Here state the reason for your answer, otherwise the block of wood will topple over or the block of wood will fall over. මේක අපි reason එක A select කරන reason එකනේ. There is a lesser probability for the block of wood to fall over or to topple over. That is the reason. Then Roman number 3. Of A and B above, a Newton balance was connected to the suitable point. Then අපි දන්නවා suitable point එක A කියලා. එහෙනම් A ට තමයි Newton balance එක connect කළා. We apply a horizontal force F and X, horizontal force X. F is the frictional force. And then X වැඩි කර කර frictional force එක වැඩි වෙන විදිය we have plotted on a graph. So Y axis shows F, which is friction. X axis shows X, which is the force that we apply. By what name is the frictional force exerted on the block of wood known when the force X exerted on it is 3 newtons? When X is 3 newtons, friction is also 3 newtons. What is this friction called? What is the name? Yes. Static frictional force or static friction. What is the limiting frictional force exerted on the block of wood as indicated on the graph? Limiting frictional force can a maximum frictional force that the other surface can give. So that is, you can see here, make a maximum of 4 newtons. Ne? Limiting frictional force 4 newtons. Then you can see this part is dynamic frictional force. That means friction is there, but the object is moving. Limiting whatever chuta kadui dynamic frictional force. Okay. Then fourth one. It was required to drag a large block of wood along a flat, rough surface. State 2 different methods that can be used to reduce the friction between those surfaces. Yes, I got some answer. I missed that. Okay, Uneli, others, what do you think? What can we do to reduce the friction between the surfaces? We can smoothen the surface by polishing. Smoothening the surface. Smoothening the surface क्या लिवर कमक नहीं ना polishing. Smoothening क्यों हम polish कराने पुलवान. Or like using a sandpaper. We can smoothen sandpaper क्या लिवर नहीं कमक नहीं. Then we can apply a lubricant. Lubricant වලට grease දාන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට පස්සේ මොකද oil එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. Then we can apply powder. That is also lubricant powder. Lubricant එක කියන්නේ හැමෝම liquid එකක් නෙවෙයි. Powder is also lubricant. Then we can also put ball bearings. Ball bearings දාන එක ඇත්තට practical නෑ මේ වගේ එකක. මොකද roll වෙලා ගියහම ball bearing එක මේ පැත්තට යනවා object එක roll වෙලා ගිහලා වැටෙනවා නේ. So ball bearings දාන එක ඇත්තට practical නෑ but මේකේ මට මතක විදිහට marking scheme එකේ let me check. Smoothing the surface, applying a lubricant between the surface, inserting ball bearings or roller bearings between the contact surfaces. එකටත් ලකුණු දීලා තිබ්බා. But it's not very practical. මේ මෙතන අපිට දෙකයිනේ ලියන්න තියෙන්නේ. So out of these 4, whatever 2 you write, you will get marks. Then fifth one. මම මෙතන හදන්නම්. The mass of the block of wood mentioned in 4 above is 200 kg. Calculate the acceleration of the block of wood in the direction of the force when an unbalanced force of 100 Newton is applied. What is the formula I should use for this calculation? What is the formula I should use for this calculation? Yes, F equals ma. So අපේ හන acceleration එකනේ. So F is 100 newtons. Mass is 200 kg. And we have to calculate acceleration. So acceleration කියන්නේ 100 divided by 200, which will be 0.5. Half කියලා දැම්මත් ලකුණු තියෙනවා. Half is also correct. Unit එක නැත්තම් ලකුණු නැහැ. 0.5 ms minus 2 or half ms minus 2. Then sixth one. The block of wood moved through a distance of 4 meters under the unbalanced force mentioned in 4 above. How much is the effective work done? What is the formula for finding work done? What is the formula for finding work done? Work done equals force multiplied by distance. Now here force is 100 newtons. They are saying the distance it has moved is 4 meters. So 100 times 4 is 400 joules. 400 joules. Up to that point, is everything clear, Lamai? Give me a thumbs up if it's clear. If you have any questions, you can ask. Okay. B එකට යන්න කලින් there's a question. Oh, okay. In the glucose test, when adding the Benedict solution, do we take an equal amount of Benedict solution and the amount of food, or just adding a few drops of Benedict solution? We actually add a few drops of Benedict solution. ඒ කියන්නේ glucose test එක solid food වලට අපිට ගන්න බෑ. හරිද? එතකොට හිතන්න මොකක් හරි food එකක you want to see if there is glucose in it, ඔයා ඒ food එක liquid එකකට convert කරගන්න ඕනේ. If you take glucose, like actual glucose වගේ ගත්තොත් it's very easy because you can just dissolve some glucose in water, you get the glucose solution. Let's say මොකක් හරි අපි ගමු මොකක් හරි fruit එකක glucose තියෙනවද කියලා බලන්න ඕනේ කියලා. Take a fruit and you want to see if glucose is there. ඔය fruit එක වතුරත් එක්ක blend කරලා juice එක අරගෙන filter කරලා solid particles නැතුව නිකන් liquid එක තමයි ගන්න. අරගෙන ඒකට Benedict drops 3-4ක් දානවා. සාමාන්‍ය අපි 3-4ක් 5ක් ඒ වගේ drops ගානක් දානවා Benedict. So Benedict solution is actually a blue color. As soon as you put a few drops of this Benedict solution, which is blue color, the solution also turns blue. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි ඔය water bath එක heat කරද්දී it will go from this blue color. Blue එක මෙයාට එන්නේ because Benedict solution is blue and we put a few drops. Then once you heat it in the water bath for some time, the blue will turn to green, then to like a green yellow color, then to orange, and then solid හැදෙනවා, precipitate වෙනවා in brick red color. Is that clear, Binuti? Okay. හැබැයි අපි proteins වලට කරද්දී again we take a protein food and we grind, mix with water, crush, whatever, and we get the solution. එතනදී නම් අපි extra amount එකක් දානවා NaOH. If let's say this is the food, අපි නම් food වලට food ප්‍රමාණයම නැහැ, but මේ වගේ නේ extra amount එකක් NaOH දානවා. And then we put a few drops of copper sulfate. This is the biurate test for proteins. ඒකෙදි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි NaOH වැඩිපුර දානවා. මෙතන නම් few drops only, Benedict solution. Okay. Then we can move to B part, where it is moment, no? B part is from moment, which is rotation. The figure below illustrates an instance where a bolt is tightened using a spanner. Calculate in SI units the moment of force exerted on the shaft of the spanner using the data given in the figure. How do we calculate moment? Chemistry, always write the formula first. Echo symbols වලින් නැත්නම් වචනෙන් always the සමහර formulas වල ලකුණු දීලා තියෙනවා. So don't lose that 1 mark. Always write the formula first. Moment වල මොකද formula එක? Force multiplied by perpendicular distance. Here now you can see force is 10 newtons. Here perpendicular distance is 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters you have to convert to meters. So you have to divide by 100. Then you have 3 Newton meters as the moment. Is that clear, Lamai? Avadeka 3 Newton meters kela. That is SI unit, okay? Then B. In which direction does the head of the bolt rotate in the instance given in the figure? Rotation will up directions kata kari left right kata karana ba. We can either say clockwise or anti-clockwise. So here the force is given this way, so the rotation happens this way. Is it clockwise or anti-clockwise? Is it clockwise or anti-clockwise? Yes. The rotation happens in the clockwise direction. Then Roman number 2. Suggest a suitable method to increase the moment of force while using the same spanner. May span එක වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. Same force එක වෙනස් කරන්න බෑ. But we want to increase the moment. Then අපි දන්නවනේ this is the formula for moment, right? I want to increase moment, but I can't do anything to the force because force should be the same. එහෙනම් මම moment එක වැඩි කරන්න නම් මට වැඩි කරන්න වෙන්නේ perpendicular distance එක නේද? If I want to increase the moment, you keeping the same force, that means I have to increase the perpendicular distance. How do I do that here? මෙතන මේ එකම span එක වෙනස් කරන්නත් බෑ. කොහොමද මම මේකේ perpendicular distance වැඩි කරන්නේ? ඔගාලා ලියපු answers කියන්න. Tell me the answers you wrote. Perpendicular distance එක වැඩි කරන්න නම් අපි length එක වැඩි කරන්න ඕනේ. So මේකේ marking scheme එකේ increasing the length of the span කියලා ලියලා තිබ්බත් ලකුණු දීලා තිබ්බා. But මම නම් කියන්නේ මේක increasing the length of the span එක obvious නේ. ඒක කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා තමයි අහන්නේ question එකේ. මෙහෙම ලිව්වට හරියනම් ලකුණු can depending on the marking scheme ඉතින්. දැන් මේකේ 2018 paper එක ටිකක් අමාරු කියන්නේ kind of challenging. Therefore the marking scheme was not very strict. But increasing the length of the spanner should not be a correct answer here. එක දන්නවා කොහොමද perpendicular distance වැඩි කරන්න එපා. ඒක කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා. So you can attach. Now I got a good answer. PVC pipe එක. PVC pipe එකක් හරි metal rod එකක් හරි මොකක් හරි නැත්නම් wooden rod එකක් හරි attach කරනවා to the spanner to increase the length. Or to the spanner කියන්නේ to the handle of the spanner. To the handle of the spanner to increase the length. Again, then with the perpendicular distance වැඩි කරන්න නම් what we can do is we can attach something to the spanner and then we can tightly bind it. එතකොට දැන් මෙයාගේ length එක වැඩි. එකම force එක 10 newtons apply කරාට then perpendicular distance එක වැඩි හින්දා the moment will be higher. Okay, do you all have any questions or is everything clear? Give me a thumbs up if everything is clear, Lamai. Make it fast. Sanuli? Okay. I will tell you how marks are given. මෙතන weight හොයන එකේ method එකට 1 mark, for getting the answer 1 mark. 8 newtons කියලා answer ගත්තට 1 mark. Then here for B part Okay, lamai. So here for writing 8 newtons, 1 mark. Then Newton's third law වලට 1 mark. Then here for writing A, 1 mark. මෙතන reason එක ලිව්වට 1 mark. Here static frictional force 4 newtons මේ දෙකටම 1 1. And then here for I mean you have to write 2 methods no, so මේ හතරේ මොකක්ද දෙකක් ලියනවාට 1 for each, 2 marks. Then here F equals ma formula එකට 1 mark, simplification 1 mark, answer 1 mark, 3 marks there. Okay, once. Okay, Lama, I'm sorry. Okay. So then here W equals FD formula eකට 1 mark. And then for the calculation 1 mark, for the answer 1 mark. Now we're going to pay all the Lama here in these two situations, the formula has been given 1 mark. Here for W equals mg, the formula was not given marks, but here the formula was given marks. Better to write the formula each time. Then here, moment again, formula calculation 1 mark, answer 1 mark. Here for writing clockwise 1 mark. Then here, suitable method එකක් ලියනවාට 1 mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. Now tell me how many marks you got out of 20. Okay. Binuti, Senet, Disal, Oneli, Misunamani. Okay, Senet. Okay, Oneli. Then Binuti, Fatima, Oneli, Yashini, Disal, Sanuli, Randira, Akib, Tenumi. තව එක්කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. Okay, Batul. All right. Good. 15 above nang okay. ඊට අඩුයි නම් බලන්න මොනවද revise කරන්න තියෙන තැන් කියලා make sure that you revise, okay? හරි. We'll move on to the next question, 8th question. Saturday class එකේ අපි මේවා discuss කරන් යද්දී සමහර questions අපි කලින් discuss කරලා තිබ්බා. So මම කලින් discuss කරපු question එකක් නම් discuss කරන්නේ මට කියන්න ළමයි, yeah? Okay. I don't think 8th one we discussed, so I will get it straight to the whiteboard. Cockroach and gecko can be identified as two organisms living in the homes of Sri Lanka. In classification, cockroach and gecko have been classified into two main groups of animals. Cockroach, what is the phylum of cockroach? What is the phylum of cockroach? Okay, Lama, yes. I'll give you like 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes to do the corrections. I'm sorry. Take 2 minutes and do the corrections really fast. Okay, shall we move on? I will send the whiteboard note anyways, Lama, yeah? Okay, what is the phylum to which cockroach belongs? What is the phylum to which cockroach belongs? Arthropoda. What is the phylum to which the gecko belongs? Reptilia. If you take arthropoda and reptilia, are they from the same group of animals? You know, if you take animals in kingdom Animalia, they can be mainly divided into two groups. So is arthropoda and reptilia in the same group? No. Then what is the group of arthropoda to which arthropoda belongs? Yes. What about reptilia? And monade denage main features. Two main groups of animals. What is the main internal feature? That is the vertebral column. So as you know, invertebrates don't have a vertebral column. Vertebrates have a vertebral column. So that is the main internal feature. When they ask you the main internal feature, it is the vertebral column. Okay. So here the answer is vertebral column. Then number 2. A. Cockroach is an arthropod, yes. Apart from having jointed appendages, state another morphological feature belonging to that group of organisms. Method lama, you know, arthropoda has a lot of morphological features, no? Eken ogala morphological feature ka liyaddi arthropoda walata tikak unique features liwut better. I mean, if you write triploblastic කියන එක annelida එකක් තියෙනවා, mollusk එකක් තියෙනවා, arthropoda එකක් තියෙනවා, echinodermata එකක් තියෙනවා. So ඒ වගේම නැතුව චුට්ටක් specific ලියන්න. Jointed appendages is one of the main features of arthropoda. What are the other main features? Yes. They have an exoskeleton made of chitin. Have a chitinous exoskeleton. What else? What else? Yes, they have segmented but not equal segments. Huh? Equal segments, that is annelida. මේගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන්නේ tagma. Having tagma or having like the segments as head, thorax, and abdomen. ඒක අනිත් ටැගේ තිබුණ නෑනේ. Okay, then what is the third question? Gecko, B part. Gecko is a reptile. Okay. What is the specific feature seen in this group of organisms as an adaptation to the terrestrial life? So gecko in a reptilia. What are the features of reptilia that are adaptations for the terrestrial life? Yes, dry skin without glands. So mainly that. What are the other things? Yes. Scales also, yes. Respiration done by lungs. ඒක ඇම්ෆිබියාටත් තියෙනවා but reptilia තමයි properly land එකේ ඉන්නේ. එතකොට land එකේ ඉන්නකොට they have to respirate through the lungs. So dry skin without glands is the main answer, but other than that respiration using lungs, having scales ඒවත් ගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද එකක් ලියවනම් ඇතිනේ. මේකෙත් එකක් ලියවනම් ඇති. Okay. Third Roman number. A. In the skeleton of these two organisms, state a difference in the, okay, skeleton gatotema, okay, cockroach is arthropoda, gecko is reptilia. If you look at the skeleton, what is the difference in the way it is positioned? Arthropod like skeleton එක ගැන මොනවද අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන්? We already talked about this. Arthropoda have what kind of a skeleton? Arthropoda? Arthropoda have what kind of a skeleton, lamai? Oh, Anita, answer karanna. Yes. Others? We just talked about this. Exoskeleton. Exoskeleton means out of the body. External skeleton එකක් තියෙන. If you take reptilia, which is a gecko, they have an endoskeleton. Endoskeleton කියලා ලියන්න internal skeleton කියලා ලිව්වත් කමක් නැහැ. Okay, arthropoda have an exoskeleton. That means the skeleton is outside the body. If you take reptilia, just like us, අපේ skeleton එක තියෙන ඇඟ ඇතුළේනේ. Even in reptilia, the skeleton is inside the body, so we call it an endoskeleton. Method endoskeleton නැතුව, even if you write internal skeleton, that is also correct. B, similarity by function. Endoskeleton or exoskeleton, whatever the skeleton it is, what can you say about the function of them? Yes. Support or protection or strength. The exo or endo, the skeleton has one function. Then let's move on to B. Fungi are classified as a separate kingdom. Yes, under domain Eukarya, we have several kingdoms: kingdom Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. So one of the kingdoms is fungi. So yes. How does the fungal cell wall differ from the plant cell wall? How does the fungal cell wall differ from the plant cell wall? Okay, good. Others? මං කිව්වා මේක හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න මේක අහන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. Chitin. Chitin කෙනක we talk about chitin at two different places. එකක් in arthropoda, the chitinous exoskeleton. Then in fungi, we are saying that chitin is present in the cell wall. So how does the fungal cell wall differ from the plant cell wall? Because it has chitin. Plant cell wall ke මොනවද තියෙන්නේ ළමයි? Plant cell wall එකේ mainly තියෙන්නේ මොනවද? Cellulose. Yes. Then fungi වල, what is the mode of nutrition? What is the mode of nutrition of fungi? Others? Yes. Heterotrophic. Because, so yes, they decompose organic matter. Heterotrophic means they depend on other organisms. Fungi, then dead plant and animal level, fungi decompose, right? Along with bacteria, fungi also decomposes dead plant and animal matter. So when they decompose, they get nutrients from that also. So that therefore we call it saprophytic කියලා තමයි කියනවා. එක කතා කරා අපි lesson එකේ saprophytic කියලා අපි කියනවා, but you can just heterotrophic කියලා ලිව්වත් හොඳටම ඇති. Then C. Scientific name of the paddy plant is written as Oryza sativa. As illustrated in this, write two rules adopted when naming organisms scientifically. There are so many rules, no? Okay, දෙකක් කියන්න තියෙන්නේ. කියන්න බලන්න. Yes. There are two parts or two epithets as generic epithet and specific epithet. Yes. When written, it is underlined. And yes, when printed, It is italicized. What else? Anything else? First letter of generic epithet is capital and other letters are simple. What else? Okay. Written in English letters. අප English letters වලින් විතරයි scientific names ලියන්නේ වෙන languages වලින් ලියන්නේ නැහැ. But language again ලියන letters English letters but language could be different. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට Greek, Roman, Latin වගේ letters තමයි words තමයි use කරන්නේ to get the name. Okay. Yeah. So මේවෙන් දෙකක් ලියන්න තියෙනවා, so you can write any one of these two. Let's quickly, okay, up to this point, is everything clear, lamai? Can written in English kamak naha. Can written in English කියලා ලිව්වට කමක් නැහැ කියලා මට හිතෙනවා මේකට marks හම්බ වෙයි කියලා. හැබැයි that is not correct. Written in English කිව්වහම English language the English letters the right. So you have to specifically say written in English letters or written in English script. Script කියන්නේ letters කියන්නේ. But language is not English. But I don't think they will cut marks for that, but keep that in mind. Others, all good? Shall we move on to the D part? Okay. Let me know if it's too fast. Then අපි 2016-17 ගොඩක් කල්ලාරන් discuss කරානේ. When we were discussing the 2016-17 questions, we discussed lesson wise. ඒකෙම discuss කරන්න. එතකොට ඉස්සරහට අපිට fast කරන්න පුළුවන් හින්දා. I'm not going to take too much time for the rest of the questions. It is stated that the voltage of the motor car battery is 12 volts. This battery comprises of 6 electrical cells. Voltage of each is 2 volts. Using circuit symbols, draw how the 6 cells are combined to make the battery. मैंने මෙහෙමද draw කරේ බලන්න. 1 2 3 4 5 6. So එකක් 2 volts ne series combine කරාම 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 it is 12. Parallel combine කරොත් වෙනස් වෙනවා. Therefore මෙන්න මේ විදිහට තමයි combine කරලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒතර එකක් 2 ඔක්කොම 12 ගන්න නම් you have to combine it series like this. Roman number 2. The two headlamps of the motor car are identical and the figure indicates how they are connected to the battery. Okay. Name how the two lamp bulbs are connected. How are the two lamp bulbs connected here, Lamai? One second. Yeah. මෙතන connect වෙලා තියෙන parallel විදියට. It's not series, it's parallel. Series නම් මෙහෙමනේ. So here this is parallel. Parallelly, hari parallel combination or something like that. That's A. Then B. Show in a diagram the other way of connecting the two lamp bulbs. So parallelly මෙතන connect වෙලා තියෙනවා. The other way is series. That's pretty easy. So මේ lamp bulbs දෙක මෙහෙම series විදියට combine වෙනවා. C. What is the advantage of connecting the two lamp bulbs as shown in the given figure? මේකේ දීලා තියෙන විදිහට connect කරන එකේ advantage එක මොකක්ද ළමයි? The advantage of connecting the two lamp bulbs like this. Mainly there is one advantage, but there could be other advantages as well. So what are your answers? Let's say මෙහෙම series combine කරලා තිබ්බා කියලා. හිතන්න මේ එක බල්බ් එකක් බර්න් වෙනවා. එක බල්බ් එකක් බර්න් වුණොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? එතනින් සර්කිට් එක බ්‍රේක් වෙලා අනිත් බල්බ් එකත් ඔටෝමැටිකලි ටර්න් ඔෆ් වෙනවා. හැබැයි පැරලල් කම්බයින් කරලා තිබ්බොත්. පැරලල් කම්බයින් කරලා තිබ්බොත් now current goes in both these parts now. දෙන්නගෙම current යනවා. එකක් break වුණා. එකක් burn වුණා. Circuit එක break වෙන්නේ නැහැ. The current can go through this path and the other bulb will keep on lighting up. That is the main advantage. In series, if one bulb burns, the entire series, the entire circuit, the other bulb also lights off because the entire circuit breaks. But in parallel, even if one bulb burns out, the other bulb will still light up. Ek time main advantage. I'm getting other answers also, we'll discuss. If when one bulb is burned, the other will still light up. Or the other bulb will not light off. It another answer, yes, less resistance and more brightness. ඒකත් ගන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගත්තොත් එimhe series combine වෙලා තේදී resistance එක වැඩිනේ. Parallel combine වුණාම 1 over r equals 1 over r1 plus 1 over r2. Parallel ගත්තාම resistance එක අඩුයි. So resistance අඩුයි කියන්නේ disturbance එක අඩුයි, so current will be higher. Therefore the two lamp bulbs will light with a higher brightness. ඒක වැරදි නෑ. හැබැයි ඒක main advantage එකක් නෙවෙයි. That is not a main advantage, but that is also correct. The bulbs will light with a higher brightness. That time will light more bright. Okay. But main advantage, මතක තියාගන්න ආයෙ question එකක් ඇහුවත් you know what the main advantage is. Resistance of each lamp bulb shown in the figure is 2 ohm. Calculate the equivalent resistance. දැන් මෙතන parallel combine වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. So 1 over r equals 1 over r1 plus 1 over r2. So 1 over r equals 1 over එක resistance එකක් 2 ohm නේ. අනිත් එක 2 ohm. So there's a common denominator. එහෙනම් numerators දෙක you add 1 plus 1 is 2. So you get 2 over 2. මෙතන divide වුණාම 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 1 is 2. When you cross multiply, r times 1 is r, 1 times 1 is 1. So the equivalent resistance would be 1 ohm. They're asking the equivalent resistance of the two lamp bulbs. So that is 1 ohm. Find the electric current flowing through one lamp bulb when the circuit is put on, closing the key. Switch එක off කරලා මේ circuit එක run වෙනකොට this is the battery. එක bulb එකකින් යන resistance එක අහන්න. Sorry, එක bulb එකකින් යන current එක අහන්න. Okay. We use V equals IR. You know the voltage is 12 volts, no? Voltage එක 12 volts. එහෙනම් volt is 12 volts. Current එක අපෙන් අහන්නවා අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. මුළු දෙකේම equivalent resistance is 1 ohm. But if you take one lamp bulb, එයාගේ resistance එක කීයද? What is the resistance if you take one lamp bulb?
2 ohm.
2, right? එතකොට එතන 2 ohm කියලා අරගෙන you can say 12 divided by 2 is 6 amperes කියලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් what you can do is what a total current එක. This is one way. එහෙම නැත්නම් V equals IR දාලා total voltage is 12 volts, current එක දන්නේ නැහැ, resistance එකට මම equivalent resistance එක ගන්නවා. That means a total resistance. Okay. So if you take here, now the total resistance ganiddi, now there's a small problem. What is the equivalent resistance here? It's 1 ohm, right? So equivalent resistance eකට 1 ohm දාලා current should be 12 divided 1 by 1, that is 12 amperes. Now that is the total current. එතකොට ඔයා තව step එකක් ගිහිල්ලා total current එක දෙන්නට බෙදිලා ගියාම කොහමද යන්නේ? Because they both have equal resistances, then current through one bulb would be the total current is 12 amperes. So 12 amperes divided by 2, therefore that is 6 amperes. Is that clear, Hanna? Okay, let's move on to the fifth one. Calculate the current flowing through the other bulb if one bulb gets burnt. එක bulb එකක් burn වෙනවා. එහෙනම් එක bulb එකක් burn වෙනවා. Burn වුණාම කොහොමද circuit එක එන්නේ? I have my battery like this. එක bulb එකයි ඉතුරු. අනිත් bulb එක burn වෙලා. ඒකට නෑ වගේනේ. Again, I put V equals IR. I know the voltage is 12 volt. That has not changed. Current is what I want to find out. Resistance, then එක bulb එකයි ඉන්නේ. යාගේ resistance එක 2 ohm. So current is 12 divided by 2, that is 6 amperes. Is this question clear, Lama? Is the D part clear to all of you? Give me a thumbs up. If not, you can ask questions. Akib, Batula, Binuti, Oneli, Seneth. Okay. Let's see how marks are given. මෙතන පටන් ගන්න. Let me get the marking scheme. Vertebral column එක ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. මෙතන chitinous exoskeleton හරි tagma හරි මොකක් හරි දෙකෙන් එකක් ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. ඊට අමතරව වෙන feature එකක් ලිව්වත් කමක් නැහැ. If it belongs to arthropoda. මෙතන dry skin, respiration done by lungs, ඒ වගේ scales, ඒ වගේ එකක් ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. Arthropoda or cockroach exoskeleton or external skeleton කියලා ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. Reptilia or gecko endoskeleton or internal skeleton කියලා ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. Here support or protection ඒ වගේ ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. Then fungal cell wall, it's made of chitin, 1 mark. Metan heterotrophic, hari saprophytic, hari 1 mark. Metan metic, mokak hari dekak liwana 2 marks, 1 for each 2 marks. Dekak liwana. Then D. If you drew the dry cells like this, 1 mark. මෙතන parallel combination hari parallel කියන වචන තියෙනවා නම් 1 mark. For showing the bulbs like this, 1 mark. මෙතන reason එක ලිව්වා නම් 1 mark. Main advantage එක මේක, but මේක ලිව්වටත් 1 mark දෙන්න පුළුවන්. එක marking scheme එකේ නෑ, but it's technically not wrong. But the main advantage is this, so remember that. Then metana for the calculation 1 mark, for the answer 1 ohm 1 mark, 2 marks there. Here for methods deke මොන method එක use කරත් method එකට 1 mark, answer එකට 1 mark. Here also for the method 1 mark, for the answer 1 mark. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20. Okay. How many marks did you get for the 8th question out of 20? Okay, Akib, Binuti, Disal, Fatima, Oneli, Sanuli, Oneli, Tenumi, Yashini, Randira, 2 more. Batula, Seneth. I think others all told, no? Seneth, okay. බාතුල let me know. Okay, let's move on to the ninth question. Did we do the ninth question before? Ninth question එක අපි කලින් discuss කරලා තියෙනවද? Check and let me know, because in the Saturday class when I was discussing yesterday, ninth question had been discussed before. එක check කරලා කියන්න ළමයි. මේකේ recorrections and I will give you like 2 minutes. Quickly do the recorrections. Recorrections නැති කවුරු මට බලලා කියන්නේ ninth question එක කරාද කියලා. කළා නැද්ද ninth එක? Are you sure? දෙතුන් දෙනෙක් කියන අතර අපිට cross check කරගන්න පුළුවන්. Fatima says no. Anyone else? Can you check and let me know? Okay, Only also says no. One more person? Okay, Sanuri no. Okay, that means we have not done the ninth one. එම කීප දෙනෙක් ගැහුවේ සමහරට present absent එකත් එක්කත් වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, that's why. Okay. L and M are two metals which form only dipositive cations. Dipositive cations කියන්නේ 2 plus කියලා හදන්නේ. Dipositive means 2 plus. Cations means anyways plus, no? When metal L is added to an aqueous solution of the sulfate of metal M, which is MsO4. මේක අපි කරාලු ළමයි. හැමෝම check කරලා බලන්න පොතේ. මම හිතන්නේ again අර present absent situation එක තමයි. මම recordings ඔක්කොම මම කිව්වාගේ order එකට එවන්නම්. ඒතර check කරලා බලන්න. ඔයගලගේ questions correct කරගන්න using the recordings. හරි. මේක කරා පොතේ කරලා තියෙන කට්ටිය මට thumbs up දෙන්න බලන්න. දෙකල එකයි. Seneth, have you done the ninth question? Can you check? Okay, I guess we will discuss anyways. It's okay. අපි discuss කරමු. මොකද දැන් භාගයට භාගයක් කරලා නැහැනේ මේක. Okay. කරලා නැහැ as in discuss කරලා නැහැනේ. So, anyways, dipositive cations. When metal L is added to an aqueous solution of metal M. Aqueous solution of metal M කියන්නේ MsO4. ඒකට L ව දැම්මහම L gradually diminishes. L gradually diminish වෙනවා. And metal M precipitates. ඒ කියන්නේ L දැම්මහම MsO4 එකට there is a reaction, right? That is why L gradually diminishes and M precipitates, because there is a reaction. අපෙන් අහන්නේ balance reaction එක. So there is a reaction. What kind of a reaction will it be? L ව දානවා MsO4 solution එකට. What will be the reaction? What is the type of the reaction? Is it a combination, decomposition, single displacement, or double displacement? Alamai? Yes, it would be single displacement. Then දෙන්නම di positive cations කියන්නේ 2 plus නේ හදන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ දෙන්නගේම valency 2. So here in MSO4 නේ. So M ගේ valency 2, sulfate ගේ valency 2, 2 2 කියන්නේ 1 1 cross වුණාම M ට 1 sulfate ට 1. What happens is that L will come and replace M, so M will be left alone. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? L M ව replace කරලා sulfate එක set වෙද්දී L also forms dipositive cation, so එයාගේ valency තියෙනවා 2. Sulfate ගේ valency 2. So 2 2 කියන්නේ 1 1, L ට 1, sulfate ට 1, that would be L SO4, then M will remain. මේ ඉතුරු වෙන M තමයි precipitate වෙන්නේ. Now, what kind of a reaction is this? Lamai? Single displacement reaction. Is that clear? Oga make a karada homework palata. You're not answering. Others, is it clear? Okay. Give me 1 minute. 2 minutes. We'll take a short break. You can drink water, go to the washroom and do all that and come. 9:37 with okay. All right. So we will. Are you all there? Am I? Give me a thumbs up. I'm sorry for like giving a sudden break because I actually got a call. Mummy call එක answer කරන්න කව ගන්න break එකක් දුන්නේ. Okay. So, this is a single displacement reaction. Name the type of chemical change to which the reaction written in A above belongs. Now we already discussed that. That would be single displacement. Then C. Of the two metals L and M, which metal is placed above in the activity series, Lamai? How do they in activity series? Okay. L, because L is more reactive. That's why L was able to replace M and get M's position, because L is more reactive. Then Roman number 2. Figure of a setup arranged by a student to examine the effect of other metals on the corrosion of iron. Okay. Then make a අපිට potassium ferricyanide තියෙනවා phenolphthalein තියෙනවා. If you take මම හිතන්නේ මේ එකක් අපි කලින් ළඟදී discuss කරා iron nail එකක් ගත්තොත්, let's say this is an iron nail and something more reactive than iron like zinc is in contact, then what would be the oxidation reaction? Iron the zinc oxidize වෙන්නේ ළමයි මෙතන. Will iron or zinc oxidize faster or first if iron was in contact with zinc? Pick the chair. If iron was in contact with zinc, what will get oxidized first? Zinc, because zinc is more reactive, right? So zinc will oxidize as zinc 2 plus, forming 2 electrons. මොකද මෙතන reduction reaction එක මම කිව්වා මේක මතක තියාගන්න කියලා. Water is there in the medium. So 2 water molecules plus oxygen gas plus 4 electrons will reduce, forming 4OH minus. OH minus can, this is a base, right? So phenolphthalein with a base gives a pink color. Phenolphthalein base එක pink color එකක් දෙනවා. Now let's say iron was in contact with a metal that is less reactive than iron. Like we can take lead or copper. Now what will get oxidized first? Iron or copper? Who will get oxidized first? Iron or copper? First, quick to tell. Iron, because iron is more reactive. So iron will get oxidized first. And now here in the medium, there is potassium ferricyanide. The moment Fe2 plus ions are formed, potassium ferricyanide will give a blue color. Potassium ferricyanide balang inne iron 2 plus හැදෙනකම්, Fe2 plus හැදෙනකම්. The moment Fe2 plus is formed, potassium ferricyanide will give a blue color. Reduction reaction is the same as this one. Oxygen and water will form 4OH minus, and with phenolphthalein it will give a pink color. මේක තමයි අපේ instances දෙක. We have to see how color, where is the position of the colors now. Then oxidation when is zinc ion zinc rod එකේනේ. ඔන්න බලන්න location එක ළමයි යා. Oxidation is zinc becoming zinc 2 plus and 2 electrons in this one. In this one. එහෙනම් anode එක මොකද්ද? zinc rod එක. Anode is a zinc rod. Or zinc rod නෙවෙයි zinc part එක. If zinc is the anode, ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ iron nail එක විතරයි. So iron nail will be the cathode. And you know reduction reaction එක වෙන්නේ cathode එකේ. Therefore this pink color is seen in cathode. That means Fe nail එක. එතන මෙතන උඩ හරි යට හරි pink color එකක් පේනවා. Here oxidation reaction occurs at, oxidation reaction is Fe becoming Fe2 plus 2 electrons. Therefore oxidation reaction occurs at the anode. Therefore anode is Here the anode is Fe nail. Iron nail is the anode. එහෙනම් blue color එක ඔයාලට පේන්නේ iron nail එකේ. Here or at the top you can see blue color. Then ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ copper එකනේ. එහෙනම් copper automatically becomes the cathode. ඒතර cathode එකේ reduction reaction එක වෙනවා, pink color is formed and you can see at the pink color at the copper part. මේ part එක clear ද ළමයි? මතක් වුණාද ඔයගලන්ට? Give me a thumbs up. If you have questions you can ask. Otherwise give me a thumbs up. Others? Fatima, Tenumi, Akib, Senet. Okay. Keeping that in mind, we'll come to this. Here now, iron nail is in contact with zinc. You can apply first instance එක වගේ. First instance එක වගේ. When observed after a few hours, what color can be observed in the jelly medium near the iron nail? Now you know. Zinc එක contact වෙලා තියෙද්දි ළමයි zinc නේ oxidize වෙන්නේ. එතකොට iron oxidize වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ Fe2+ iron එක හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. Fe2+ iron එක හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ blue color එකක් නැහැ. So only pink color can be seen here because of OH minus. So you can only see the pink color. Then what is the ion which causes that color change ළමයි? මේ pink color change එක එන්නේ මොන ion එක හින්දාද? Which ion is responsible for this color change? OH minus ion, yes. See here. OH minus means base, no? Base එකක් තමයි phenolphthalein එක pink color එකක් දෙන්නේ. So the ion responsible for this is OH minus. Then B. What is the balanced ionic equation for the half reaction that occurs near the zinc plate? Now we already know that zinc will get oxidized and form zinc 2+, releasing 2 electrons. That is the oxidation reaction. What is the reason for adding sodium chloride to this jelly media? මොනවාද ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේකට ලියපු answer එක ළමයි? Why do we add sodium chloride? ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලිව්වද answer එකක්? To accelerate rusting කියන්න එපා. මෙතන rust වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද Fe2+ ions හැදෙන්නේ නැති හින්දා rust වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Yes, it is to increase the rate of reaction. මෙතන ළමයි දැන් මේක ගත්තොත් එහෙම electrons are moving no. දැන් මෙතන oxidation reaction එකේ 2 electrons were formed. So ඒ වගේ oxidation reactions දෙකක් වුණාම 4 electrons will be formed. Those 4 electrons will go from the anode, which is the zinc rod, to the cathode, where the reduction reaction will happen. So electrons වලට හෙට මෙහෙට transport කරන්න නම් wires තියෙන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මෙතන wires නැහැනේ. And also ions are also there here, right? එහෙනම් to make sure that electrons are transported faster, we need ions. Then මෙතන sodium chloride දැම්මම you know sodium chloride here will break to sodium plus ions and Cl minus ions. Ions වැඩි වෙනකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? Electrons fast transport වෙනවා. Electrons fast transport වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ reactions fast වෙනවා. එතකොට sodium chloride දාන එකෙන් කරන්නේ we are trying to increase the rate of the reaction or to make the reaction faster. Okay. And sodium chloride also doesn't disturb the main reactions. Yeah, එතන ඉඳගෙන speed එක වැඩි කරනවා විතරයි. It doesn't disturb the main reactions. එහෙනම් C වල what is the reason to increase the rate of the reaction? ඒ වගේ meaning එක තියෙන answer එකක් නම් ලකුණු හම්බ වෙනවා. To increase the rate of reaction or to speed up the reaction or to make the reaction faster, something like that. Okay. D. Which metal acts as the cathode? දැන් කියන්න බාන කවුද cathode එක? කවුද anode එක? මෙතන what is the anode here? yes. zinc oxidize වෙනවා කියන්නේ එයා automatically anode එක වෙනවනේ. ඒතර එයා anode එක නම් ඉතුරු වෙන්නේ iron විතරයි. So iron becomes the cathode. එහෙනම් cathode එක මොකක්ද? The iron nail. Fe nail or iron nail or something like that. State a practical application related to this experiment. මොකද්ද මේකට හරියන practical application එක? That means when Fe is in contact with a metal that is more reactive than Fe, a metal එක තමයි oxidize වෙන්නේ, Fe oxidize වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Fe oxidize වෙන්නේ නැහැ කියන්නේ Fe2 plus ions හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. So rusting will not happen. What is a practical application for this? Yes, galvanizing iron. Galvanizing කියන්නේ iron වලට අපි zinc වලින් coating එකක් දානවා. Galvanizing කියලා විතරක් කිව්වත් ඇති. Or fixing magnesium or zinc blocks on the hulls of ships. Underground pipes are also yes. Underground iron වලින් හදපු pipes, underground pipes වල ගොඩක් ඔය water එහෙම යනවනේ. water නේ යන්නේ. So they're made of iron and they will rust. Because of that, they have a zinc coating. So මේ වගේ මොකක්ද application එකක් ලියුවා නම් you get marks. Up to this point, is everything clear, Lama? Give me a thumbs up if everything is clear. Okay. There's another B part, no? May B part එක discuss කරලා අපි අද ඉවර කරමු. මා උගන්ට already කිව්වනේ 2019 full paper එක කරන්න කියලා. 2020 full paper එකත් මම කියන්නේ නැති උගන්ට කරන්න කියලා. කරන්න 2020 full paper එක කරන්න. මම කලින් කරන්න කියන්නේ නැති. So එහෙම කිව්වා නම් අවුලක් නැහැ. Then 2021 full paper එක කරන්න. 2021 full paper which was set in 2022. Then 2022 full paper මෙන්න මේ full papers තුන කරලා තියන්න. So when we are doing discussions කොයි වෙලේ මොන එක discuss කරයිද දන්නේ නැහැ, but you keep this done. 2019 එක කොහොමද කිව්වනේ, so ඒකින්ද මම කාය අලුතෙන් දැම්මේ නැහැ. Okay. Now this is the B part of this question. A setup of apparatus arranged to study about sound waves is given in the figure. We have a control key, we have a signal generator, a signal amplifier, loudspeaker, and a sound detector. So හැම එකම මොනවද කරන්න කියලා මෙතන තියෙනවා. Signal generator produces electrical signals of various frequencies. Control key changes the frequency of the signal generated. B is signal amplifier. Increases the amplitude of the signal received from the generator. Amplitude එක වැඩි කරනවා, so it will be louder. Its control key can control the amplification. Loudspeaker converts the electrical signal to a sound. එක අපි දන්නවනේ electromagnetic induction නෙවෙයි. When we were talking about DC motor එකට පස්සේ අපි කිව්වේ when there's a current carrying conductor in a magnetic field, a force will be generated. So may signals, sound signals and electrical signals within those electrical signals will be converted back to sound by loudspeaker. Sound detector ke මොකද කරන්නේ? Records on the screen the frequency and the amplitude of the sound. All right. Let's start. Indicate in hertz the frequency range that has to be maintained to make the sound received by the loudspeaker sensitive to the human eye. Sorry, human ear. So sensitive to the human ear, na, it has to be the auditory range of humans. What is the auditory range of humans? Yeah, 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. No other answer, only this. 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. What is the characteristic that changes in the sound heard when the frequency is gradually increased within the above range. Frequency එක වැඩි කරද්දී sound වල මොන characteristic එකද change වෙන්නේ ළමයි? Yeah, pitch. You already know this. This is quite easy, huh? The characteristic of sound that is relevant to frequency is pitch. What is the characteristic of sound that changes when the amplitude is changed? What is the answer to that? Loudness. Yes. The characteristic of sound that is relevant to amplitude is loudness. The quality of sound is wave shape. Quality of sound is wave shape. Loudness. Fourth, the sound emitted from the loudspeaker travels to the sound detector through air as a mechanical wave. Sound travel කරන්නේ mechanical wave එකක් විදියට. To which type of waves does this mechanical wave belong? Sound මොන වගේ mechanical wave එකක්ද ළමයි? Longitudinal. මේ question එක එච්චර අමාරු නෑ. දැක්කම පේන්නේ අමාරුයි වගේ, but it's not that difficult. You know mechanical waves, there are two types as transverse waves and longitudinal waves. Sound is an example for a longitudinal wave. That means wave එක යන direction එකට parallelly තමයි particles vibrate වෙන්නේ. And also the wave goes forward as compressions and rarefactions. Compressions කියන්නේ තද වෙන තැන්, rarefactions are the loose positions, right? Then B, explain briefly the behavior of air particles in this medium when these waves travel. Then what is the answer? How do air particles behave? Yes. Others? Others, what do you think? Air particles move in compressions and rarefactions. How the air particles behave. Air particles behave when air particles move as compressions and rarefactions. Or you can say air particles move parallel to the direction of the wave. Then let's move on to the fifth question. When the experiment was conducted, keeping the detector at a distance of 170 meters from the loudspeaker. Detector ka tira tiyanne loudspeaker ke indang 170 meters. The sound emitted from the loudspeaker took 0.5 seconds to reach the detector. Make it a duration එක ගිහිලා තියෙනවා 0.5 seconds. Calculate the velocity of sound in air. කොහොමද මේ velocity of sound calculate කරන්නේ? You know it's distance divided by time. Distance is 170 meters. And time is 0.5 seconds. මොකද්ද මේකට අපු answer එක? Yeah. So 0.5 denominator ke decimal point එකක් තියන්න බෑ. You multiply this by 10 and you multiply this also by 10. So it's 1700 divided by 5. That would be 340 ms minus 1. Then B eka, state whether the velocity of sound changes or doesn't change in the instances 1 and 2 below. Api frequency ka venas karahama, do you think the velocity of sound changes? When we change the frequency. මේක මතක තියාගන්න ළමයි. Frequency change කරා කියලා velocity එක change වෙන්නේ නැහැ. We are talking about velocity of sound. Velocity of sound වලට affect කරන factor එක temperature. So temperature change කරාම velocity changes, but frequency or anything else when you change, the velocity does not change. ඒක මතක තියාගන්න. Frequency change කරත් wavelength ඒ වගේ දේවල් change කරා කියලා velocity change වෙන්නේ නැහැ. However, if temperature changes, the velocity of sound will change. Is that clear, Lamai? Is this question clear? Give me a thumbs up if it's clear. Or if you have questions, you can ask. Others? Oneli, Sanuli? Okay. All right. Let me tell you marks for this entire 9th question. Make a Leonardo 2 marks. Make equation the reaction height Leonardo. Single displacement Leonardo 1 mark, L 1 mark. Pink 1 mark, OH minus 1 mark. Hydroxide ions ke liye kamak nahi. Zinc 2 plus 2 electrons 1 mark. Here to increase the rate of reaction 1 mark. Iron nail 1 mark. For the practical application, either galvanizing or hulls of ships, underground pipes, 1 mark. 1 mark. BAK 20 to 20,000 hertz 1 mark. Pitch 1 mark. Loudness 1 mark. Longitudinal waves 1 mark. Make a compressions and rarefactions for that 2 marks. Parallel but you have to mention the 2 terms, compressions and rarefactions. Here, for the calculation, 1 mark. For getting the answer as 341 mark. Here does not change 1 mark, change 1 mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. How many marks did you get out of 20? Okay, Oneli? Okay, Akib? Tenumi, Sanuli? Disal? Yashini? Randira? Oneli? There's one more. Senate. Okay. All right, Lamai, we will end the class today because I actually have to go out for something else. Otherwise, we not park back. But other may I have to finish now. Anyways, the time is up, so we'll finish. I will let you know when the extra class will be. It will either be, I don't think it will be on Monday morning. Monday morning, pulwanna mang karanna. Oglanki recordings this take a PDF yeah, so that's all. Yeah, let's meet each other on whatever the next day we'll have the class. Until then, have a great time, study well. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me anytime. Okay. So see you in the next class, Lamai.